Welcome back to Cold Case Killers. Today's case takes place in Singapore, a country known for its beautiful environment and green cityscape. As a multicultural and multiracial nation, most people here know at least two languages, with Chinese speakers making up over 70% of the population. The main character of the story is Zhang Weiling, also known by her English name, Felicia, a 19-year-old Chinese student living in Singapore. Weiling was a first-year student attending LaSalle College of the Arts, a private art school located in the heart of Singapore. Standing at 1.69 meters tall with long, straight black hair, Weiling stood out in a crowd not only for her appearance, but also for her cheerful, outgoing personality and her love for making friends. Besides studying, she also worked part-time at a bar in Clarke Quay to earn extra income. Unlike other students, Zhang Weiling lived with her parents and younger brother, who was a year younger than her, in a public housing estate called Block 233 inches on Peiyin Road, just 1 kilometer southeast of her school. Their family had a stable and happy life. But on the evening of June 29, 2007, a Friday, everything changed. At 6:30 p.m., Zhang Weiling left home to attend a party at school. Before leaving, she told her parents that she would be home late, but she never returned as she usually did. By midnight, when darkness had fully set in, her parents began to worry when they didn't see their daughter come home. At first, they thought it was normal since she sometimes stayed out overnight. 3 days passed without any contact from their daughter, and their initial worries turned into panic. Her parents reported that Weiling had previously stayed out overnight, but she would always call to inform them. This time, however, there was no call. Her parents began calling friends and acquaintances, but no one knew where Weiling was. Realizing something was wrong, their sense of unease grew, and they decided to report her missing to the police on the 4th day after her disappearance. Upon receiving the report, the police quickly launched an investigation into the mysterious disappearance of the young woman. On July 4, 2007, the police began gathering more information about the girl from those around her. Her parents mentioned that when she left, she took her favorite white backpack, which contained a laptop and a camera, and she planned to attend a party hosted by her former school club. Additionally, there was a valuable clue. According to her classmates, after the party ended, Weiling left with 2 male students. Notably, Weiling's mother also recalled that before leaving, her daughter mentioned she would go to a friend's house in Marine Parade after the party, but did not specify the friend's name. Based on this information, the police immediately went to the friend's house in Marine Parade. The building's surveillance footage revealed that Zhang Weiling, along with 2 men, entered the elevator and got off on the 10th floor. When asked if she knew who the 2 men were, Weiling's mother said she did not. Believing these 2 individuals could be crucial to uncovering the reason behind Zhang Weiling's disappearance, the police quickly identified them as Daniel and Rajiv, both classmates of Weiling. The house at number 19 Marine Parade belonged to Rajiv. The investigation team quickly located Daniel and Rajiv, and they were questioned separately. Both appeared calm and showed no signs of stress. Their statements matched. After the school party, Weiling went with them to Rajiv's house in Marine Parade. They stated that she stayed only for a short time before leaving on her own. Daniel recounted, "That night after the 3 of us returned to the building, Zhang Weiling sat on the sofa in the living room and smoked. She kept texting on her phone, causing the notification sound to go off continuously. I got annoyed and asked her to lower the volume. I even joked, asking if she was texting her ex-boyfriend. Weiling replied, no, she was texting another guy. I blurted out, teasing her that she had too many boyfriends. Weiling seemed upset, said nothing further, put on her backpack, and left the building." According to Daniel and Rajiv's statements, Zhang Weiling left around 2:30 a.m. carrying her white backpack. She mentioned wanting to go to East Coast Park to meet someone. However, despite multiple reviews of the surveillance footage, the police only saw images of Weiling entering the building, not leaving. In theory, Weiling could have avoided the surveillance cameras by using the stairs instead of the elevator to exit the building. However, the police reviewed the surveillance footage from nearby buildings in Marine Parade, but found no trace of Weiling. Although Daniel and Rajiv were suspected, due to the lack of evidence at the time, the case was still considered a mysterious disappearance. One hypothesis was whether Weiling had run away from home, but upon closer examination of the evidence, this theory seemed unconvincing. Firstly, her transportation card, bank card, email, and social media accounts showed no signs of activity. If she had indeed run away, at least one of these accounts would have shown some activity. Next, when she left home, she only took her backpack with a laptop and camera, without any personal belongings. This behavior does not match someone intending to live away from home for an extended period. Moreover, according to Zhang Weiling's bank card history, she withdrew money near her home on Pei Yin Road that day. But the amount was only 30 Singapore dollars, not enough to run away from home. As someone who usually reported her whereabouts to family or friends, Zhang Weiling's family almost immediately ruled out the possibility that she had run away. Her colleagues at the bar where she worked also mentioned that she was a kind person, enthusiastic with everyone, hardworking, and had never missed work without permission, nor had she ever been late. Therefore, her colleagues did not believe that Zhang Weiling would run away without saying a word. Furthermore, Zhang Weiling had purchased a ticket for the QR band concert on August 1st, 2007, 1 month after her disappearance. The ticket cost 180 Singapore dollars, which was a significant amount for a student like Zhang Weiling. Even if she no longer wanted to attend the concert, she could have sold the ticket, but she didn't. Additionally, there were reports that Zhang Weiling had received an internship opportunity at an advertising company that she had been eagerly anticipating and had prepared thoroughly for. She had no reason to suddenly abandon it. More importantly, the next day was her best friend's wedding. They had agreed to wear matching outfits, and that evening, they were still talking before she disappeared. Zhang Weiling's mother also mentioned that her daughter was an art student with outstanding artistic talent. She was always optimistic and cheerful, and if she was ever upset, she wouldn't hide it. Their family relationship was very harmonious, and before her disappearance, everything was normal. This situation has left her deeply heartbroken. All these factors do not align with the behavior of someone intending to run away. So where did Weiling go? Did Weiling truly leave Rajiv's apartment? The answer will be revealed in the next part. When the police made no progress in the investigation, Zhang Weiling's family organized their own search for her. They gathered more than 200 people, including friends, relatives, and Zhang Weiling's classmates. They visited places she frequently went to, such as Marine Parade, Clark Quay, and East Coast. They made flyers and posters with Zhang Weiling's picture and information. Zhang Weiling was 169 centimeters tall, slim, with slightly tanned skin, straight black hair, a mole on the right side of her nose, and she wore multiple earrings. They posted the flyers and distributed them in various locations such as Woodlands, Yishun, and Jurong, almost covering all of Singapore, hoping that someone with any information would come forward. Zhang Weiling's friends were also deeply concerned for her safety, and they raised funds themselves, printing posters at least 3 more times, but with no positive results. In addition to posting missing person posters, Zhang Weiling's friends leveraged the power of the internet. They created a website called Find Felicia. On the website, people left comments, shared more photos of Zhang Weiling, and offered their support. However, one comment suggested that Zhang Weiling had failed her exams, was too ashamed to return home, and had been drunk for several days. The phone number left in the comment was unreachable. Zhang Weiling's friends immediately dismissed this information as a malicious joke by someone. Zhang Weiling's parents feared that their daughter had been abducted and taken to Malaysia, as the Johor Strait is very close to Malaysia, and cases of human trafficking were common in the area. Because of this, they went to Johor Bahru across the strait in Malaysia, carrying flyers with their daughter's information on the streets, asking anyone they met if they had seen her. However, after several months, there were still no results. Sometime later, Zhang Weiling's parents turned to an organization called Crime Library, which specializes in helping to find missing persons. The organization was founded by Chen Jingyun. Chen Jingyun had previously been a police officer in Singapore, but he felt his abilities were not fully utilized. So he later opened an environmental company. In 1996, a tragic event occurred when his cousin was murdered in the Philippines, leading him to start posting unsolved cases online for the public to help solve. After Zhang Weiling's parents sought help from Crime Library, the organization mobilized nearly 300 volunteers to assist in the search. Every weekend, they posted missing person posters on the streets. In November 2007, one of her friends continued to monitor Zhang Weiling's situation by regularly checking her social media accounts. One day, this friend accidentally discovered that Zhang Weiling had logged into her social media account. The friend reported this to the police, but it did not lead to any significant breakthroughs. As for Zhang Weiling's parents, holding on to the hope that one day their daughter would return home, they did not move out of their old house for more than 10 years after her disappearance, fearing that if they moved, their daughter wouldn't be able to find them. During this period, the police continued to investigate the case, monitoring Zhang Weiling's social media accounts, emails, and immigration records. But the case remained unsolved and became a cold case. For 13 long years, Zhang Weiling's family and friends tirelessly searched for her. Their efforts seemed to be swallowed by an endless abyss, with no information forthcoming. As time passed, hope remained faint, and traces of the young woman seemed to vanish into thin air. It wasn't until June 2020 that the Crime Library organization posted information about the case on social media. When the case gained attention from the online community, many criticized the police for their investigation at the time, accusing them of failing in their duty. Under public pressure, by July 2020, the case was transferred to the Criminal Investigation Department, CID, for further investigation. From this point on, the case was finally taken seriously. In August 2020, a significant clue was discovered. Zhang Weiling's laptop, which she had with her before she disappeared, was found in the home of Daniel, one of the suspects from 2007. On December 15, 2020, the police arrested Daniel. Through investigation and questioning, the police uncovered another accomplice, Rajiv, who was present the night Zhang Weiling disappeared. At the time of the crime, Daniel was a 22-year-old recent graduate of LaSalle College of the Arts, while Rajiv was just 19. During the investigation, Daniel could not hide his crime and confessed to the following. In the early morning of June 30th, 2007, at 1:39 a.m., Zhang Weiling, Daniel, and Rajiv went to their apartment to use illegal substances. After using them, all three fell asleep. Around 6 a.m., Daniel and Rajiv woke up, but Zhang Weiling remained unconscious. They tried to wake her, but no matter what they did, Zhang Weiling did not respond. Upon closer inspection, they were horrified to discover that Zhang Weiling had stopped breathing. Panicked and terrified, they initially considered calling the police, but feared that their drug use would be exposed, which would certainly land them in prison. After a moment of deliberation, Daniel and Rajiv decided to cover up Zhang Weiling's death. They thought that as long as no one knew what had happened, they would be safe. They began to deal with Zhang Weiling's body. First, they hid her between two beds, then thoroughly cleaned the room to erase any evidence that she had been there. Once they were done, they checked the clock and saw that it was 7:20 a.m. To create a false trail, they took Zhang Weiling's phone to East Coast Park and left it there to make it appear as if she had gone to the park. After returning home, they devised a detailed plan, knowing they couldn't keep Zhang Weiling's body in the apartment indefinitely. That evening, after discussing the situation, they went to a nearby store and purchased some tools. Upon returning, they wrapped Zhang Weiling's body in a blanket, placed it in a cardboard box, and sealed it with tape. Aware that the elevator lobby had surveillance cameras, they used the stairs to avoid being recorded. Thus, in the middle of the night, the two carried the box down from the 10th floor without being noticed. They then called a taxi and transported the box to the Punggol area in the northeast. There, they found a secluded spot, dug a hole, placed the box containing the body in the hole, poured gasoline on it, and set it on fire. After the flames died down, they filled the hole. Because the location was so remote and it was late at night, no one witnessed their actions. Upon learning the location where Zhang Weiling was buried, the police went and began excavating the area. It was then that they recalled a similar case from 10 years prior at Punggol. In June 2010, while Punggol Track 24 was being repaired, some ground was dug up. During the excavation, workers discovered a strange object, a human skull. At that time, the police tried to identify the skull but were unsuccessful. In late December 2020, the police conducted DNA tests on the skull found in Punggol 10 years earlier. The results showed that the DNA of the skull had a genetic connection to Zhang Weiling's family, proving that the skull belonged to her. Although excavation efforts were intensified to find the remaining parts of Zhang Weiling, after more than a decade, the exact location had faded from memory, and they found nothing. Recognizing that Daniel's one-sided confession was insufficient to convict him, the police searched for additional clues in the apartment where the crime occurred. However, the apartment had been rented out for the past 10 years. Due to the passage of time, all traces of the crime had been wiped clean, and no clues were found. All efforts by the investigation team seemed to lead to a dead end. In June 2022, due to insufficient evidence to convict Daniel of murder, he was sentenced to only 26 months in prison on lesser charges, including concealing Weiling's body, misappropriating her belongings, fabricating false evidence, and providing false information to the police. Meanwhile, the suspect Rajiv, believed to be Daniel's accomplice, fled to Indonesia and lived freely, escaping any responsibility for the crime. The inability of the authorities to apprehend Rajiv and the lack of evidence to convict Daniel left the victim's family in deep pain and with a sense of injustice. Many have criticized the police's handling of the investigation, and here are some of the opinions I've gathered. The attitude of the Singapore police in handling this case is truly condemnable. The last place where the victim was seen was at the home of the two suspects, and they were the primary suspects. But the Singapore police didn't thoroughly investigate. The victim's belongings were still with the suspect 13 years later. Is it because the suspect was too foolish, or is he mocking the incompetence of the police? That morning, the two suspects went to a hardware store to buy tools and a large cardboard box. If the police had conducted careful interrogations at that time and expanded their investigation to the last place the victim was seen, as well as the surrounding households and businesses, this case wouldn't have had to wait so long for a resolution. To this day, the truth about Weiling's death remains unclear, and the perpetrator has yet to be brought to justice. It is unimaginable the pain that Zhang Weiling's parents have had to endure, losing their child and living in a state of despair and insecurity, constantly seeking the truth about their daughter's mysterious disappearance. They continue to hope that one day justice will be served and that Weiling's death will no longer be a heartbreaking mystery.